This video describes how Washington state law defines sex and gender identity. These terms are defined in law in the Revised Code of Washington, RCW Chapter 49.60, on discrimination, Section 040 on definitions. Let's take a look at whether these definitions make any sense. Sex is defined as meaning gender, but the law does not define gender, so this definition is meaningless. Gender identity is defined as part of the definition of sexual orientation as follows. Sexual orientation means heterosexuality, homosexuality, bisexuality, and gender expression or identity. As used in this definition, gender expression or identity means having or being perceived as having a gender identity, self-image, appearance, behavior, or expression, whether or not that gender identity, self-image, appearance, behavior, or expression is different from that traditionally associated with the sex assigned to that person at birth. Let's focus on the definition of gender expression or identity. The phrase, whether or not that gender identity, self-image, appearance, behavior, or expression is different from that traditionally associated with the sex assigned to that person at birth, indicates that a person's sex does not help us define what gender identity is. If the person's sex doesn't help us define the term, then it is irrelevant. So we'll remove that from the definition. We're trying to define gender identity, so we can't use the term in the definition of the term, because we don't know what it means. So we'll take out gender identity from the definition. We're left with gender expression or identity means having or being perceived as having a self-image, appearance, behavior, or expression. This is not a definition that describes anything in particular. It hasn't said anything of useful substance to define gender expression or identity. So this begs the question, how are we to interpret Washington state law related to gender expression or identity? And how can we protect sex-based rights and policies if the definition of sex is meaningless? We'd like to imagine that lawyers writing Washington state law would use precise language and well-defined terms. This is obviously not the case in Washington state.